he's trying to sell every line to you sincerely, because that's what Tommy Wiseau tried to do. He tried to do like an actual drama. You know what I mean?
What a story, Mark.
Gotta get.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this very special episode of Press Any Key. Tonight, we are talking Scream 6, Bob Odenkirk's remake of The Room. We got some DC news. There's a RoboCop video game coming out. And we're starting with some Star Wars movies, Cancellations. I am your host, Pat Naparano. With me, as always, is my co-host and engineer for tonight, Nick McFly. Give it up for him. And special guest tonight, Press Any Key regular at this point, honorary member. Give it up from AJ for Genre Geeks, everyone.
What is going on, y'all? Glad to be back.
Glad to have you back.
Yeah, man. Thanks for coming. Hopefully we get a whole episode this week. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I saw Ryan did such a poor job. You guys had to find a way to cut his bit earlier. So
yeah, it's true. It's true. I actually was telling.
Studio talk of, we lost it. Like, we mutually agreed.
I found it. No, dude.
We axed it from the slate to save on our taxes.
Exactly. You know, sometimes that happens.
Sometimes you shoot an entire production and then you nix it that way, you know.
I'm not doing this conversation again. You guys know how I feel. Decisive leadership. That's what they need. Anyway, also don't forget, down below you find a link to join our Discord. Click that shit. Go ahead, join. We have a lot of new channels, a lot of new hangouts, no crazies, going absolutely nuts in other Discords.
Mad luxury.
It is. And what the fuck was I gonna say? Oh yeah, AJ. So how you been living, man? How's Genre Geeks? What up?
Good, kind of. We're trying to get back. We just shot our first episode in a long time last week with Ryan, funny enough, your past guest. And we're going to be dropping that for, at the time of recording, we're going to be dropping it tomorrow. We covered Creed 3. We're just trying to ease back into recording again. And so we went ahead and knocked one out with that. I'm sure it's a bit of ring rust, but hey, you know, just happy to finally be back. It's been like 4 or 5 months now.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you guys are back. You put on a good show. I like I like coming on it.
Yeah.
I like what it does for me.
It made me feel bad, dude. Your last episode, you're like, like everyone's being a guest on our show, and no one's asking me. I'm like, dude, once we get ready,
glad you feel bad. I want all of them to feel bad. Well, because truthfully, since we're talking about it, since you brought it up, I go to these podcasts, like hangouts, like Twitter spaces and stuff, and there's all these people that are just like, oh, I would love to guest and have guests and da-da-da. And it's like, all right, sick. Here's my information. I do this. We have over 100 episodes, a full crew. Like, hit us up, right? Like, let's schedule something. And then it's either we don't hear for them or they completely ghost us. And it's just like, all right, what are we like? All right, never mind. I will just extend invites to the people that, you know, we've made friends with over the years. You know what I mean?
There you go.
There's the way to do it. There's 0 point in trying to network with people that want nothing to do with you. It's one of those things where everybody wants nothing to do with you until they do. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's a good feeling. That's the best kind of victories. Then all of a sudden they start circling back like, hey, remember when we? I'm like, no, you don't get to do that now.
Yeah. It's like the band that gets big and then the people that ignore them want tickets to the show all of a sudden. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know that feeling, but I'm just saying. So, let's get started here tonight. Star Wars movies. Nick, yes. I know that you've been a big fan of all of Disney Star Wars.
That's one word for it.
You know, you've been a champion in their corner since Kathleen Kennedy announced the sequel trilogy. Here's the other thing too, is that I feel like we talk about Star Wars so much on this show that we're beating a dead horse at this point. So everybody knows at this point, like, Disney Star Wars is extremely hit and miss, more miss than hit at this point.
Very true.
At least in our humble opinion. But this was something I was not expecting to see. So apparently, if you were to just look at the headline from Variety, Kevin Feige's Star Wars movie and Patty Jenkins' Star Wars movies have been shelved. And Taika Waititi's film is still moving forward, and he's looking to star in his own film, which, no.
That's what really scares me. After Thor: Love and Thunder, I don't trust Taika anymore, and I was a big champion of his, like Jojo Rabbit and his first Thor outing. It's just so disappointing to see it. I don't know if I can trust him anymore.
Well, that's the thing. I think an interesting quote from this article is, quote, whereas Disney Plus boasts a robust fleet of live-action Star Wars series, 3 streamed in 2022 alone, not a single Star Wars movie has received a green light, let alone go into production. The earliest a film is scheduled to debut in theaters is December 2025, 6 years after the rise of Skywalker. And I gotta be honest, it's just a placeholder at this point. They're just keeping they're keeping that window open in case they come up with something. Because truthfully, if they don't get cracking on a script and a story by December of this year, you know, you're supposed to start filming at least a year before you open, you know, at this point. So I don't know what it could possibly be, but apparently, you know, they took Rogue Squadron off the development cycle. But according to Patty Jenkins, in December, she said that she's still developing, but she doesn't know if it'll happen or not. You know what I mean? That's not.
It's not. Let's
not.
It's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
happening.
yeah. Fair enough.
It's not happening.
It's not.
No one's asking for it.
What was Feige's supposed to be?
Feige, they just said he's got one. They just said let him.
Details.
Let him do whatever. Because his whole thing was they were supposed to do something with General Thrawn, and Robert Downey Jr. his name was thrown around. But that's the thing is that this doesn't confirm if that's actually canned or not. But this man has, I think it's something like what is it? 19 projects between the TV and the movie side of Marvel at this point for all the way through 2026. He ain't got time for a Star Wars movie. He barely has enough time
It's a step down. Let's be real. Like it's beneath him at this point to do a Star Wars movie.
Yeah, which is weird to say that there's something beneath Star Wars in Hollywood. I mean, not at this point. It would have been weird to say 10 years ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 10 years ago, or not even further than that. Just Star Wars. You're not a Star Wars fan unless you hate Star Wars. And so Star Wars has not put out.
Yeah.
Like you say, like more miss than hit. Like frankly, if it's a hit, it's a rarity at this point.
Star Wars is kind of following the trajectory of like horror movies when, you know, like 80s slasher films were getting big and one caught fire. They're like, all right, we just pump out a ton of sequels. And Star Wars kind of had that sheen for a long time where it's like, this is legacy, great American cinema. And now that Disney's got their hands on it, it's just crank them out. And like a horror franchise, doesn't matter how good or bad it is, we just need more.
Well, that's the thing is like they're always talking about. I feel like the popular thing for film bros on Twitter to talk about now is, are you experiencing MCU fatigue? Is there MCU fatigue? Is it Marvel? No, we just want good shit. Like I will see every MCU movie in theaters on opening day. That's a promise. But I want good stuff. You know what I mean? And it's fucking wild to me that Bob Iger gave that, I think he had the investors call, and he said everything but, yeah, we make bad movies. You know what I mean? Like, he did everything but say, and then he said, Solo was a disappointment to us, so that's why we stayed away from spinoffs. No, the reason Solo was a fucking disappointment was because you shitted up the main timeline like 6 months before that. Like, I don't know what you feel about Solo or not, but as far as movie terms, it was a fine summer blockbuster. It wasn't anything revolutionary or blow me away, but it was definitely better than the shit that we got, you know, Rise of Skywalker, Obi-Wan series. And we're doing it again. Anyway, the one thing that I think that I'm glad that they left out of the headline, because, you know, 90% of people only read the headline of this article, is that as for Rian Johnson,
oh yeah,
the in-demand filmmaker has made no secret that he still wants to make the Star Wars movies he announced in 2017 before the release of the film The Last Jedi, which was the dumbest thing they could have done. And Kennedy has been clear that Lucasfilm still wants him to. However, I believe if you announce that Rian Johnson is making a Star Wars movie, you might as well just shutter up Lucasfilm for like 5 years and just nobody go in the building. like it's just over at that point. You can't. The fan base hates him
for the Star Wars universe for
but
sure.
Johnson's
one way or the other.
But apparently, like I said, it hasn't been an outright cancellation. Johnson's immediate priorities, the Knives Out films. He's doing Poker Face on Peacock. Those are going to keep him occupied for what they say is the foreseeable future. And like I said, it's just you can't bring him back to Star Wars. You just can't.
I despised his movie 8. I despised it. Thought it was just a bad movie through and through. But I love Rian Johnson as a director. I love Looper. I love his Knives Out movies.
Straight up I think his best movie.
I think it's one of the best time travel movies, you know, besides like Back to the Future and stuff. Like, it's really, really great.
I'm glad you said that.
I think he's the wrong guy. I felt like for a franchise Star Wars movie like that. I think giving him its own unique spinoff, whatever movie, I'm down for, because again, I like him as a director. I just don't think he needs to handle Skywalker's.
Exactly. I think he needs to be literally put in a galaxy far, far away. Like,
there you go.
like away from the main timeline. You know what I mean? Like we've talked about this 100 times. If you're doing mainline sequels, you need your original recipe nostalgia. That's what we're there for. If you're doing a trilogy of like spin-offs, like with characters we don't know and everything, go ahead, subvert all the expectations you want. You know what I mean? You couldn't, but you shouldn't do that shit with Luke Skywalker. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So AJ, my question for you is, what do you think about them trying to turn Knives Out into a franchise?
You'll notice patterns.
The look on his face.
We're in this. It's disappointing because it's indicative of Hollywood, and where it's like, if it's successful, throw a franchise at it, which I just can't stand. Just let a unique good thing exist.
That's
and then
so wild you're saying that, because we're talking about Scream 6 later on.
Exactly, right? But we'll get to what I'm about to say later when we talk about it. But it's infuriating that they have to just make a giant franchise out of it. Knives Out was such a breath of fresh air when it dropped. And then the second they announced the sequel, I'm like, ugh.
So not only that they announced the sequel, my guy, they bought the rights to 2 sequels for $400 million, and just to throw them up on streaming services. They put it out for a week in theaters, and it made like $400 or $500 million. So like, I don't know why Netflix doesn't do theatrical releases at this point. You know what I mean?
At this point, it's like there's so little quality content going directly to Netflix. I understand they want to have, like when they had House of Cards and they were the name in streaming. Why not?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think as long as this franchise, the Knives Out franchise, stays as loosely tied as it is, like between part 1 and part 2, how there's like barely any crossover at all.
Yeah.
Just have that. Just have Daniel Craig be the only tie-in, and like never even reference any of the other movies. Just give him another sandbox to play in every time.
It's like Godzilla movies, you know, just drop them in, you know, who knows if it connects to the last one.
Who gives a crap? They're going to show up. Who cares?
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of which, can I get a better look at that hat, AJ?
Dude, yeah, well, look at that. There's this little secret.
Oh,
King Ghidorah and Godzilla right there too.
That's sweet as hell.
How much did that cost?
It was like $20.
I just want to know if
like
Bosco's is a ripoff. So then we have Taika Waititi continues to work on his possible Star Wars feature,
Let's keep it possible.
Most likely have a part in it as well, similar to his prominence to his standout role in an imaginary Adolf Hitler in the 2019 Oscar-winning feature Jojo Rabbit. What a fall from grace. And although Lucasfilm has yet to officially confirm it, sources say the studio is committed to a Star Wars movie from director Charmin. I'm not even going to try.
The Charmin
Bear, yeah. The 2-time Oscar winner documentary of Saving Face, A Girl in the River, The Price of Forgiveness, who made her live-action narrative debut with 2 episodes of the Miss Marvel Disney Plus show. Damon Lindelof and Justin Britt Gibson were attached in October to write the script for that movie. Whether one of those films or some has yet to be announced lands in front of the line has been fiercely guarded a secret at Lucasfilm, but sources say the studio will begin to unveil plans at a future Star Wars cinema at the Star Wars Celebration convention in London on the weekend of April 7th. Yeah, I like how they moved it out of the States because, you know, there'll be riots outside that building. So yeah, once again, we still have the final season of Andor coming. They go on to mention the Acolyte, Skeleton Crew, Ahsoka, and then the Mandalorian. Which, boy, what a trip out the like. And then the second episode, I haven't watched it yet, but I've heard it's even worse. But yeah,
dude,
so
Carl Weathers, come on, bro, you're better than that.
No,
his acting
is he?
so terrible in
Is
it, dude.
he?
He is so much better than that.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is kind of par for the course of Lucasfilm at this point, and I'm not gonna go over the whole business with Kathleen
I
Kennedy
just want to know,
but
AJ, do you think Kathleen Kennedy is going to stay on Lucasfilm? You know, we'll say within the next 2 years, she'll be still on Lucasfilm.
Lucasfilm, yes. Star Wars, no. Because I think the same way we're talking about the pattern of franchising, when that Indiana Jones, whatever 15 comes out, you're going to see a whole spin-off series of that. We're going to get Disney Plus shows. Same.
well, yeah, Phoebe they
already
already confirmed it. Phoebe Waller-Bridges is getting her own Disney Plus series after that movie.
What about Shia LaBeouf?
The movie that has not come out. I wouldn't doubt it.
Call up Shia. What's he up
Plus
to?
spaces with something. Yeah, no, I think she's done with Star Wars. She's just the wrong person for Star Wars, but she'll probably still be around for Indiana Jones.
Yeah. Man, I can't wait till we can get excited about Star Wars again. You know?
Would you say make Star Wars great again?
I would say make Star Wars great again, Nick. You're right. I would say that.
I haven't even watched Andor, dude. I'm so tapped out on Star Wars.
Dude, I haven't watched it yet. I hear good things, and I just don't have it in me to start another leg of the franchise.
Yeah,
I can't. I don't know if I could do that either. You know what I mean? I'm just like, I watched the first 2 episodes and I was like, this is actually pretty good. But it's like, I can't give you my time anymore when you wasted so much of it before. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry. My allegiance is to one mega franchise, not 2. I just don't got the time. So speaking of franchises, oh God, that's going to be the theme of this fucking episode, isn't it?
Well done, right?
Yeah.
When are you guys gonna franchise Press Any Key? We're gonna start seeing some spin-offs there, and
when I can make this profitable, we'll talk about franchises. Right now, this is just a money hole.
That doesn't matter to Star Wars and Disney right now. Losing money left and right. Give another show.
Right now, you're the leading contender for a Press Any Key spin-off.
Yeah. How much is Genre Geeks worth right now? How if I were to cut you a check, let's just say how much?
Probably a bag of coffee at this freaking point. Gotta get back to
dude, I got loads of coffee over here. We're good. So, if you want to go ahead and cut to my laptop there, buddy boy.
All right, give me one moment.
Yeah, no, it's all good. So RoboCop, AJ, I'm sure we've never talked about RoboCop, but I'm sure you fucking love RoboCop, right?
A little bit. I guest appeared on Ryan's podcast. I'd like a refund, and I requested a refund on the 2014 RoboCop. I'm a RoboCop guy.
Yeah, I reserve that RoboCop 2014 is secretly Samuel L. Jackson's best role because all they did was put him in a wig and in front of a green screen, and he just shouts at the camera the entire time, and it's awesome. Can't see me.
What?
He can't. The OBS virtual camera's not on.
Oh, what? Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So thankfully, in this age of AAA game, there's 2 of me. How fun. In the age,
stylistic choice.
Yeah. No, leave it.
Let's see if I can do this on the fly.
So in the age of AAA gaming and licensing deals, of course, we're getting a RoboCop game, and I'm a huge fan of the original RoboCop movie. I'm sure you are too, AJ, right? Nick, are you as well? Yeah. So little fun fact I didn't know, they actually had enough money and time to film everything but Alex Murphy's death. And they said that was that's the most important part of the movie to the plot. However, instead when they brought it to the producers actually went and scrounged up a couple more millions of dollars and told them go film that scene because without it,
you're damn right.
Like it's the craziest part of when the hand explodes and everything. Yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'll just start playing this trailer here. I can turn on the volume for this. We won't get claimed for this.
It's called fair use.
On video games, but most studios they don't really like that. I realized since we don't have 2 monitors right now, I can't read the notes I put, so I'm gonna go ahead and just spitball it off the top of my head. So number 1, this is releasing for Xbox Series X, PS5, and PC on September of this year. No exact launch date has been picked yet. It's a first-person, story-driven action game, obviously. And what I think it does really well, if this is the gameplay preview, is that a lot of people say it looks stilted and it looks stale and everything. But it's like, no, that's what this is supposed to be. Like, it's supposed to be the targeting and the gun and everything.
Yeah, it's from the perspective of a robot.
Yeah. Is he a robot or a cyborg? You know, he's got the human face, but
sure, cyborg. He's got like a piece of human in him somewhere around the metal parts.
Cyber cop would be cool.
That's cool. Man.
Time cop,
half robot, he's half man, half machine. All
the
cop.
best type. Yeah. The other thing is that Peter Weller is coming back to reprise his role as RoboCop. He does sound a little tired, but you know, I guess it just comes with age, just getting tired. I mean, fuck, I'm tired right now. I'm tired all the time.
He's probably tired of being RoboCop, but the fans love him. I love that the fact they brought him back. It wouldn't be the same without him. Watch RoboCop 3 and you'll realize, you need to have Peter Weller be RoboCop.
You know what? He's not, the guy in 3 isn't awful. He's not awful, but it's just not Peter Weller. So yeah, this delves into the seedy underbelly of Detroit, Michigan in the 1980s. Like I said, Peter Weller's coming back to voice Alex Murphy. And on top of all of this, I don't know if there'll be any multiplayer element to this. You know what I mean?
Like, I'm trying to get a gauge on how do you think that game, because what I'm worried about is that intro sequence, like, is this going to be like Payday in terms of it just drops you in on the level, you walk up to the building, do the RoboCop? How big do you think this game's gonna be?
Maybe. I don't know. That's actually a good point. Like, I don't know what the scope and scale as far as like the story is concerned. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I mean, I have to imagine that Ed 209 is going to be in it, right?
Heck yeah.
That'd be a cool multiplayer.
Everybody get Ed. And then the machine gun arm attachment from 3, right? That's got to be in it too.
We got to get the big dumb ninja guy from part 3.
And then what's the other one? The jetpack. The jetpack's got to be in it too, right? So
this does not bode. Have you guys seen the other games that Teon, the developers, have worked on?
No, read them off to me.
This is not great.
Okay.
They do primarily franchise movies, like video games. They have done, let me pull out these all of them right here. They have done Rambo, the video game from 2014.
Okay. Off to a good start.
They did, I think, let me make sure this is not just pulling me up to similar things. Okay, I am worried that this is actually pulling me up to just different games. But on their official website, the games that they brag about, yep, Rambo the video game.
Sick.
Is that it? Urban Trials, that biking.
Oh, the Trials guys made this? Oh,
maybe. It says Urban Trials. I don't know if it's the right one.
No sweat then. Let me see.
Terminator Resistance. That came out in 2019.
That's actually not a bad game, I've heard.
Really? I have never touched it. So, I mean, I want this game to be good, so hopefully it's good. But, I mean, other than that, that's the only Warlocks versus Shadows.
Yo, these guys have been making a lot of fucking games.
Warlocks versus Shadows?
Warlocks versus Shadows. But the big one that they have on their thing that they brag about is Rensport. It's a racing sim, I guess.
Dude, they make a lot of fucking games. Oh, my God. There's a lot. This is one of those studios that just pumps out shovelware.
There you go. They only have one page worth of braggable stuff, I guess. One of them is 30-in-1 game collection, volume 1.
Yeah, I mean, but listen, honestly, if I don't think there's anybody better to pick to make the 80s action movie game, if they made the Rambo game and they made the Terminator game. Terminator game I've heard is not awful.
Well, that's good.
And it's actually like, as far as being like a Terminator sim, you know, like it's actually quite accurate. As far as the Rambo game, I see here that it's generally unfavorable and that the main story can be completed in 3.5 hours. So maybe we do have something to worry about.
That's what I need to know real scale. What is this game? Is it like open world too much to hope and wish for? Do you drive around?
I would say open
looking for
world's too
crime?
much to ask for. I
I
feel
think
like
it's
they
gonna be
would have put
freaking-
that out immediately. You know what I mean?
I think it's going to be a list: mission 1, mission 2, mission 3. And RoboCop gets
Yeah.
out of the car, you waltz up to the building, and then you do the RoboCop.
Which is fine too. Not every single game needs to be an open world or like a linear straight through experience with a big expansive world and like they hide level
Fair.
design beside. You know what I mean?
I totally like AJ. Are you saying like there's not even any connective tissue in between? It's just like mission 1 completed, and then like
I
mission
think-
2,
I
like
think
everything, because
you'll
it's
get
a
a grade
cutscene
or
of him
something at
getting
the
out
end
of
of
the
the
car. Yeah.
Throw Red Foreman through this pane of glass.
Yep,
like
yep.
you know, you get 3 stars. Like
I mean, a part of me would be okay with that if they leaned into the replay. It's like really short chaptery, and you get complete it in this amount of time. You get whatever this achievement.
That's
or
what I'm saying.
It,
Yeah.
like encourages you to play the mission different ways. That
Almost
can
like
be
Spec
cool.
Ops, like in Call of Duty from
There you
back
go.
in the day. Yeah.
How about
Yeah, that could be cool.
Hitman kind of thing?
Yeah. No, that works
Sure,
too.
yeah.
Absolutely. That could definitely fit within that framework. I don't see why not. Either way, the one thing I am asking for is that this game not be full price. It should not be full price.
If
The
it's not a
most I'll
big,
pay
full
for it
game,
is $40. You know what I mean? Like I'm not trying to buy a $60 half-assed RoboCop.
there better
game.
be a shoot the dig off fatality as well.
That's what
There
I'm
better
saying.
be a-
Yeah, like that.
That's the only requirement.
You
I
need
have.
you need the moments from the movies. I feel like you got to
Exactly.
use the jetpack and burn the guy's ankles. You got to fire the guy and shoot the dude out of the window.
You gotta
Stuff
play
like that.
at 209 and try to get up the stairs.
It's a mini
How do you
game.
think it's gonna work though with the aiming? Because RoboCop his whole bit is has aimbots because he's a freaking robot. How do you think that's gonna work mechanically?
Well, if
in the
you're
game?
playing on controller, I feel it's pretty accurate. The aimbot's there for you anyway.
you just zoom in and it just headshots.
That's what I'm saying. Or that's what we were talking about before. Is that like I think like as far as a RoboCop sim, it looks practical, right? Like it
Yeah.
looks the way it should. Like it's doing the auto aim for you. But I can't imagine how people who like first person shooters, you know what I mean? Like I love Call of Duty and BioShock. They're both first person shooters, but they are very different games. You know what I mean?
True.
And it's like, where is that going to fit on the spectrum of first person shooters? You know what I mean? Is it going to be more COD or is it going to be more BioShock?
What would be interesting, and I don't think they're going to do this. Camera's all blurry. If like the thing that makes RoboCop interesting is that he's not just a mindless killing machine. He's a person in there. So if it was like the whole game is auto aiming, but every decision you had to like choose morality wise, like what do I do in this situation? Do I kill this bad guy? Do I, like bring him in, without hurting him? And that was the whole objective. It's not a shooting game at all.
And I kind of feel like that's like the crux of like the character from
Yeah.
the movies is like his whole thing is overriding the OCP programming, right?
Yep.
And
That'd
then-
be cool mechanically. If playing the game, your character, RoboCop starts doing what you're not controlling it to do, and that's part of the whole
Yeah.
RoboCop aspect of it. That's what I'm curious about is the mechanics of this, where it's trying to find the balance of thematically RoboCop, but fun video game to play.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering. I'm very curious. I'm gonna need to see like an actual playthrough, not just the series.
yeah,
of
I need to
clips.
see somebody on the sticks. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
real time. Like what's it like?
It's also going to be indicative of how good it is once they start letting YouTubers and stuff do that. Because if they have faith in it, then they'll let it out, a
Yeah.
month or two early to let people start doing it. It's the whole screening for critics thing.
It's weird that we're talking about this. That Spider-Man game for PS5 is coming out at the end of the year, and there's just no trailers for it.
It's genius.
But
They're
do
like,
you
why
know-
waste the money?
Do you know why
It's
there's
gonna
no
sell.
trailers? Apparently, there was Marvel executives that went to the studio a few weeks ago, like just to check on the progress of the game, and it was like glowing. The graphics were so good they couldn't tell if they were watching cutscenes or gameplay. That's how
Okay.
pristine and polished it is, right? But PlayStation is tied up in this lawsuit with Xbox over the acquisition of Activision, and they have to play like they have no money. So they cannot drop a trailer that's about to like boost all of these pre-orders and all of this hype around their ecosystem and console while they're currently in court trying to be like, oh no, Xbox is taking Call of Duty from us. What we gonna do? Because apparently they're saying that Call of Duty funds their exclusives.
What?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think God of War kind of speaks for itself. Are you talking about like with Sony doing that, or I don't know? Or
Yeah, I mean,
Activision's whole bit? I don't know.
yeah, I mean, the whole thing is that the Call of Duty fan. I mean, listen, the reality of the situation is that most people play Call of Duty on PlayStation. That's just the fan base that has been built into that system. And on top of that, they have all the exclusive content, all of the partnerships and everything, right? So, now that Xbox is trying to acquire the studio that acquired Call of Duty, they're trying to play like, if you take that away from us, we're losing a substantial part of our revenue, and and now we can't fund our own games and everything. And my whole thing was, if you're relying on third-party titles to fund your exclusives, that's a bad business strategy to begin with. You know what I mean? Like, you should not be like, I don't think those PlayStation exclusives are in the red, because I mean, I think God of War is like one of the top selling ones ever, like especially the fastest.
Yeah.
It's close to like 6, 7, 8 million now. That's nothing to shake a stick at. You know what I mean? That's a big fucking deal in the gaming industry.
Yeah.
But the fact that they're relying on that to fund their first party titles is absolutely
I think that's
wild.
all legal talk. I think they're aware of where they are, and they're also aware of. I've been talking about this for like doing it for Avengers movies and stuff. Just don't drop a trailer. Just buy 15 seconds of airtime with the words Spider-Man 2 this date. I mean, like, don't show me anything because it's gonna sell. I'm gonna buy it. Don't show me anything because I want to experience it the right way. So that might be when I buy a Mac Daddy version of Spider-Man. Miles Morales and Spider-Man are like top tier games.
I think that'd be an interesting strategy. You're right. They don't need marketing. We're all already bought in.
I feel like that's kind of like, that's always the crux of our art or I guess like a source of our pain too, is how like they drop these trailers for games a year and a half, 2 years out. And it's just like, no, we're in the age of the internet. You don't need a fucking $20 million marketing budget. Like, just put the game out. I mean, or rather announce it. I say 3 to 6 months before your release date. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
That's what you should do. And don't even announce it before it's gone gold. You know what I mean? So this way there's no crunch period for devs and everything like that.
My favorite thing in the world is during like E3 and stuff, whenever they show you a dope trailer and the guy's like, all right, it's available right now. And then everyone starts like scattering and panicking. Like nothing gets me more hyped than that.
I mean, yes, but also try getting Metroid remastered after that.
Fair.
Like I had to surf. I got up one morning. I just happened to wake up at 6 a.m. just because cat related things. And I checked my phone and it said Best Buy has Metroid in stock like after an hour. And I got those two from Mike and I have his copy right over here. And, after that, they were sold out immediately after that. You know what I mean? It's like scalpers are just gobbling them up then because they're releasing them in drops as opposed to like having take pre-orders of a ship date. You know, they're able to create enough stock to where like they put it in stores and scalpers can't grab them. You know what I mean?
Well, I know GameStop's clamoring for them to announce the Spider-Man 5 stuff because, that's the only thing that's going to keep their lights on the end of the year.
Yeah, I actually have a friend who works at GameStop, which is like kind of like not the cool thing to say when you're almost 30.
That's like, oh, I got a friend that works at the soda fountain.
That's what I'm saying. And he was telling me that not even they could pre-order the Zelda deluxe editions or whatever because
Dude, that's their job.
because it dropped. They shadow dropped it. Like you can pre-order this right now, and then like of course they didn't even get there. Like that's part of the perks of working at GameStop is being able to know when the street release date is, you know what I mean? Before it gets announced and being able to pre-order your own stuff. You got to spend your own money on it though. All right, well, let's get moving on here. DC news. We had some news from two different sides of the aisle of DC. We had some animation and we got some video game news, some good, some bad. So, what do we want to do? Good news or bad news first? What are we feeling?
I'm a bad news guy first kind of guy. And on a high note.
Okay, all right, we'll go bad then first. Okay. Anyway,
You're supposed to do the news at the end of the drum roll.
I don't think the news needs a drum roll. So anyway, so Jason Schreier published an article on Bloomberg on March 9th, basically stating that from inside sources of Rocksteady that Warner Brothers has delayed the Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League and pushing it from May to a release date later this year. That means that
means next year.
That means next year. And it was supposed to come out last fall, and obviously they pushed it to 2023. So they didn't. They requested a response. They requested a comment from Warner Brothers. They got no response. But basically, this is due to the criticism and the backlash of the live service elements, such as purchasable cosmetics and the requirement to play online always. The delay is necessary mostly for bugs and improvement aspects of gameplay where they were lagging behind, but it won't overhaul much of the core gameplay that led to the backlash. Seeing as this would be the first game after Hogwarts Legacy, which moved more than 12 million copies in the first week of sales, this is not good. This is not good.
Yeah.
Because
this game is cursed too.
I know. And you know what the problem is that this is not, I mean, the guys who founded Rocksteady left Rocksteady because of this game. And now I see why. Like, it's just, this was not the game that they should have been making. And
how long have they been talking about this game?
I think
it's been talked about for like 5 years now.
Well, I think, okay, so originally in 2017, it leaked that they were working on another DC project. And then Hogwarts Legacy leaked, and everyone thought it was that. But then when they announced like Portkey Games and Avalanche Studios and all that shit, they were like, okay, so what's Rocksteady working on? Then they thought it was Superman, because that's what everybody wanted. We wanted a like what they did for Batman, we wanted for Superman. Just do that. You know what I mean? And then they do a Justice League game, but instead you're killing the Justice League. I don't know. It's just a weird angle. You know what I mean? I also kind of feel like this is kind of poorly timed. You know what I mean? Because if this had dropped when the Suicide Squad movie had come out or around it, I feel like the IP would have been, a little bit more popular in the moment. So people would have paid more not paid more attention to it, but at least would have had more hype around it. You know what I mean?
I don't really think it has anything to do with the story elements or the characters. I just think it looks like garbage. And especially following up Gotham Knights, nobody's fucking talking about that game anymore.
That's true,
that game was in and out in an instant. And now we have this. It just does not look good.
Baby.
Somebody talked about how this game is nothing but shoot at the purple things.
Yep.
And if you go back,
spot on.
If you go back and look at the trailer, something I didn't even notice the first time is that there is nothing but purple glowing shit that they are shooting at the entire time. You know what I'm saying?
That makes for good gameplay.
I mean, that's the other thing too, is that like it's part of the fun of playing a shooter is having something fun to shoot at. You know what I mean? And if it's nothing but just gelatinous orbs or guys with purple stuff on them, like you know what I mean?
I mean, so for me right now with Hogwarts Legacy, I always find myself when there's just like enemies out in the the open world, I look for the dark wizards and the dwarves. Or the dwarves. Not like I avoid the spiders, the goblins. Thank you. I avoid spiders. I avoid the mongrels. I'm like, this isn't a fun battle. I look for the fun and interesting enemies.
Sure.
No, definitely, I get it. So yeah, they said they want to add more polish, but absolutely has to do with the backlash. I mean, AJ, what are your as far as live service games go? Don't you play Destiny?
No, I did for like a minute back in the day, but no, I don't like games as a service games. I have so little time for things like between the movies, the comics, the podcasting, all that crap I do. I don't want to like have a subscription service for a video game basically where it's like, I want to play this mission. Like, well, you got all this stuff you got to do. You want to buy all these cosmetics. You want to do all this. I'm like, I just want to play a narrative, man. You know, that's why I loved Arkham, the whole Arkham series. It was a video game.
Yeah.
No other extra crap. Charge $70 or $80 for the game and I'll buy it. I understand that games just aren't making the money they used to, but I'm sick of buying a battle pass for games. I'm sick of buying all this, and that, which I get it. That might just be the boomer in me. Maybe I'm just phasing out of video games there.
No,
but it's like, dude,
you're absolutely
just make
correct.
a good narrative Suicide Squad game, man.
Well, remember, that's the whole thing is the problem with a lot of this has to do with I can't believe I'm about to say this on this show. It has to do with the structure of the economy. If you're not profitable, making more money year over year, then you're not a company worth investing in the current structure of the American economy.
I think the other thing too is like everything's moving towards subscription model.
Well, that's what I was getting to.
Every facet of our economy.
You're
is
absolutely
just like,
right.
Will continuously pay us money every single month.
You're absolutely correct about that. And the other thing is just that like this whole idea of like making a one-off game is incredible. That is incredible and like and it moves you in certain ways and has incredible gameplay and graphics and performances and everything. The reason why Sony has the stranglehold on that is because nobody else does it. And the problem with those games is that compared to something like Activision, who made, I cite this statistic, but it's probably more now, but if sometime, I think 2019, they made $2.1 billion in revenue alone from microtransactions.
Wow.
Like, that is fucking insane. You know what I mean?
That's a lot.
And of course, that's going to incentivize them to push more and push more. Now, I think we successfully defeated loot boxes in gaming, and Star Wars Battlefront 2 had to be the sacrificial lamb, to which we had to, because I think it was something like 2,700 hours to unlock just loot without paying for it or some shit like that.
Yeah, that killed that game.
Which is not great because the moment-to-moment gameplay is actually okay. You know, I actually like when you're in the actual game, it's actually fun.
Dude, any idea on like what the numbers are on people still playing that game today?
Let me just check real quick.
Probably not high.
Yeah, I'm wondering if there's an active community at all.
I can see it with the Suicide Squad as a theme where it's like, hey, you want Captain Boomerang?
There's 2,000 people playing right now on Steam, but the all-time high on Steam was only 10K.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, it did come out on Origin too, so I don't know if Origin has a chart system like Steam does that's publicly available. But I remember that game was not. That game moved like 7 to 8 million units when it first came out across all platforms. But the problem was sustainability. It was the star card shit. Once people realized that it was just like, I could play this game for 15 hours, unlock a bunch of crates, and for just whatever reason, the guy who played for 2 hours, who he just happened to get better cards in his crates, are better than me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Wasn't that related to the most disliked post in Reddit?
The most downvoted post in Reddit? Yeah, because it was just a bunch of corporate garbage. Because that one guy was like, well, I pre-ordered the $89 version, so can I cancel my pre-order because I'm not even getting a full game? Which he was more than correct in that moment. And they just fed him some bullshit.
It's still number one.
Yeah.
To this day, it's still number one. Yeah,
Good.
That is something.
All
Good.
hail the king.
Good, dude. That company sucks.
I really want the Suicide Squad game to succeed to a degree because I inherently like the Suicide Squad. But as far as like video game goes, I just think it's a mistake to go this route with first of all, it's an Arkham game. There's a certain like tone with the Arkham series.
Yes.
And switching it up like this is like, why it's clear you're just banking off the name to sell units.
Yeah, and I absolutely find it hilarious that that Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is going to be the sacrificial lamb in which live service games die on. You know what I mean? Like first we had to serve up Star Wars about 5 years ago, and now we got to serve up Suicide Squad, which it could be worse. It could be Batman or Superman, you know, but dude, I swear to God, they saw the Avengers game come out and they tried to shift Gotham Knights into something that it wasn't originally supposed to be. And now I think my whole thing is I don't think this will be as bad as Gotham Knights because once again, it is Rocksteady. You know what I mean? Like I
Who did Gotham Knights?
WB Montreal.
Okay. I
have faith in Rocksteady to produce like whatever version of a game that they're making or trying to make and like course correct right now. I think that's going to be the best version of that game possible, but that doesn't mean it's going to be good. You know what I mean? Like just
True.
Rocksteady has put out too many good games and not even good games, like exceptional games, you know? I've said it on the show before, Batman Arkham Knight is cited as not only Arkham City, cited as not only the best licensed title ever made, it's also cited as one of the best video games ever made.
It was my number one for years. Yeah.
Where's it now?
It took God of War, probably number 3. It took God of War 2018 to knock it down. Like it was that good to me.
What's number 2?
Ragnarok.
Yeah, right.
Damn, you You like the
I
first one?
suckle the Kratos teat. Yeah, I'm all about it.
You like the first one better than the second one?
It's my type of scale. I like smaller scale narrative as opposed to like wide open video game. They're different purposes, and so I prefer more small scale intimate.
All right. Well, speaking of small scale, Amazon has acquired Batman Caped Crusader, which is the new Batman animated series that was being developed for HBO Max, but was removed, not canceled, but they moved for. I don't get why they moved it. But they ordered 2 seasons, which if it's the people who are in charge of Invincible, then they know what they're talking about. You know what I mean? Because that is a great animated show. They had shopped it around to Netflix, Apple, Hulu, but eventually Amazon was the one that won out. This show is being written by executive producers are J.J. Abrams and Matt Reeves, who, of course, as we know, Matt Reeves was directed one of, if not the best Batman film ever made. And the series has Bruce Tim Abrams and Reeves also writing on the project. So, like, here's my thing. Why? Oh, they tried to monetize the content by selling it to third party. That's exactly why. So I don't think it was ever indicative of the quality. You know what I mean?
I think they knew they were sitting on a hit, and they were like, how much can we make off this crap?
That's actually not a bad. And then, like, when it's done licensed there, they just move it back over to whatever they're
home.
calling it.
Max. They're going to bring it back
drop
to
on
Max.
Exactly. There you go. That's how you start upping subscriptions.
Yep.
So apparently, as we said, the series is going to harken back to Bruce Timm's 1990s Batman the Animated Series, which stands as the benchmark for the Dark Knight's animated storytelling, which is true, and a lot of animated storytelling. I don't think there's truly really been... I mean, there's been a lot, and I haven't seen all of them, but Batman the Animated Series is the only, animated series I'll
High
throw
watermark.
on. Yeah, exactly.
Dude, it holds up. I'm watching it now with my son, and it's like... It holds up today. It's
does
incredible.
he get it? Does he get the...
Not at all, but it's for me. I don't care. He's watching shapes on TV.
Ed Brubaker is among the creative team, and he's running the writers' room and serves as Tim's right-hand man. On the first episode is 10. The first season is 10 episodes.
Is this completed already, or it's in the works?
It was announced in May 2021. So AJ, you know more than me on this.
I don't know exactly where, but I didn't realize Ed Brubaker was going to be involved. He's one of my favorite comic writers. He does almost exclusively old noir type stories.
Nice.
So one of his famous ones called Femme Fatale and stuff. He literally has a book called Noir. So between him and Matt Reeves, which you got the noir feeling from the Batman, this is going to be a super stylish Batman series.
I'm curious who is going to voice Batman. Do we have any info on that?
I can tell you who it's not going to be.
Yeah, well, I think there's that's a pretty good point.
So,
didn't Jensen Ackles, wasn't he voicing Batman at one point?
No, he was Red Hood.
Okay.
Why don't they get Roger Craig Smith?
I don't know.
I mean, I'm asking you you're gonna go back to
AJ,
Matt Reeves and be like,
why don't they?
Roger Craig Smith played a young Batman in Arkham Origins a decade ago. He also voiced
They got Robert
Sonic.
Pattinson.
I don't know.
Weren't they talking about trying to make the animated stuff connected? I guess this would be Elseworlds.
Well, that's what I'm reading right now. Is that that this is actually, while this is factored into the 10-year plan, it's actually kind of a blessing in disguise that they get to move it to to another streaming service or something outside, so it doesn't look like it's in the main
right.
continuity,
Nobody's gonna mix it up with everything else.
Exactly.
So Kevin Conroy is on IMDb, which asterisk is casted as Batman, so it's gonna have to be someone.
Oh my god, dude! If
now.
we get one more animated, that'll make.
He's already recorded.
That's what I'm saying. If he
That'd be
already
nice.
recorded it, that'd be nice. But
then they have to get
Didn't
an
they
impersonator.
say that was Suicide Squad?
that it's the final performance. Yeah, but
is that what I heard?
yeah, but they also said the final performance for Jared Leto. Oh my god, for Mark Hamill's Joker was Arkham City, and then look who showed up in Arkham Knight. You know what I mean? They're always like, "This is the last time. This is the last one."
Well, now it's kind of hard to lie about it though, with him. So it's
wink,
not like you can just wave a good script around and then bring him back.
He's a Force ghost.
That would be wild. But microphones can't record Force
Oh, we'll
Ghost.
just get an EVP meter or something like that.
Oh yeah.
Peter Weller's probably my second or third favorite Batman voice. He did it for the Batman Returns animated movies. He's really good with it.
Wait, Batman Returns animated movies. Wait.
The Dark Knight Returns. There was it's old man Batman, and then he fights Superman in part 2.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
RoboCop was Batman.
Right.
And he sounded great.
Was good. But we need like we need somebody who's more spry. You know what I mean? Because that's this whole thing is like
Jensen Ackles.
the origin. But Jensen Ackles, I don't think I don't think he's in that age range anymore. He's almost 50. You know?
Damn, so old.
I don't know. Get some nobody. I don't care. Get some no-name guy in a booth and just
get the best guy for the part. That's what they should do.
Justin Roiland might be a good choice.
Okay, all right. And with that, we are looking forward to Batman Cape Crusader. AJ, you like The Room?
I love The Room. It's the best movie ever. It's great cinema.
So it came out that Bob Odenkirk is actually starring in a remake of The Room, which why has nobody thought of this idea before?
Didn't one of the Francos did
we
it?
more or less got one though with the
not the same, not the same. That was more like that was a retelling of the story of how the book,
Greg
how
Sestero's book, not the movie.
So apparently, as confirmed, Bob Odenkirk is playing Johnny in the remake.
That's so good.
And he said that he's playing it straight, like a real drama, and that he's trying to sell every line to you sincerely, because that's what Tommy Wiseau tried to do. He tried to do like an actual drama. You know what I mean?
What a story, Mark.
Gotta get that as a drop now.
I can't wait.
It's so hilarious because when you watch that movie, you are just not prepared for the amount of sex scenes that are in. You know what I mean? Like, I think there's like 6 full.
Well, technically, there's only 2 sex scenes, and then they just play them over and over.
Wait,
again.
really?
I'm pretty sure it's they're reusing footage a lot of the time.
The actress didn't want to do, I think, more than one, and then I think they talked her into 2, and she was like, "I'm done. I'm not doing another one of these."
What? I did not know that. It's a little
gross.
I did not know that.
Dude, the fucking you are my rose. You are my rose.
I can't wait.
We have room drops.
Do you think it's gonna be a shot for shot, or do you think they're gonna?
I hope that it's gonna be a shot for shot.
I kind of hope that it's not. I hope that they take the script and just reinterpret it, like we said, in earnestly, and just try to do the script again.
Well, that's the thing is, like, I kind of feel all right. So one of the major criticisms of the Disaster Artist is that when they do the recreations of the scenes from the movie, is that they overlooked the audio, how shitty the audio dub is in the movie. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the fans' favorite parts, is how awful the audio is. So that's what I'm saying here, is that don't lose sight of what gives The Room its charm. You know what I mean? It's obvious that it's dog shit. We all know it's dog shit. But it's as you said, Nick, the high watermark for it's so bad it's good. You know what I mean?
A part of me wants it to be use the base of it, the script and stuff, but actually make it deliver on it. Cause Johnny or whatever, Tom Wiseau didn't know what he was doing with, buying the 2 the digital and the film camera, doing all that. The same stupid, script, but have it done really well, I think would be just emphasizing how stupid it is. Because I feel like it's almost like, why remake this?
Right.
If it's, the joke is already there. And I feel like it to be a college humor bit if you could just do it's Bob Odenkirk as Tommy, but to sit through an hour of that, it'd be like, what is the purpose of this?
I don't know if I envision Bob Odenkirk wearing the long black hair wig, or just I'm assuming he's just gonna look like himself, but you know what I mean? I don't see them going through the length to recreate it shot for shot when it'd be so much more interesting for them to just do a big budget remake of The Room.
Do a spirit of what we do remakes of today.
Yeah.
So when we remake a movie, they're okay, well, this is a 2023 remake of The Room, and have Bob Odenkirk looking like Bob Odenkirk.
But are we gonna get rid of the CGI roof? You know what I mean? Like the green
It's
screen
gonna be
roof.
even worse. It's gonna do the
alley-
Mandalorian like domey whatever wall.
Oh yeah, the
The
volume.
volume.
There you go. Yeah.
The alley set and everything.
Yes,
you know?
yes, they throw the football in the volume.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, look, I'll watch this for the novelty, but it's not exactly something like, ooh, can't wait to see. You know, we haven't seen any promotional material. We haven't seen any trailers. This is just all buzz, and Bob Odenkirk himself just retweeted whatever the leak was, and he was just like, this is true, and I tried to sell every single line. So I don't know. I mean, definitely I'm gonna absolutely check it out. I'm a real big fan of the Disaster Artist movie. I think it's really funny, and I think it's a well-told story. So I'm excited for more room material.
I listened to the audiobook, and it's narrated by the author, Greg Sestero. Definitely worth checking out.
Yeah, I've heard the book's even way wilder than the movie.
Totally, so much better than the movie. The movie was good, but
Yeah.
the book is great.
All right. You ready, AJ?
Let's do it.
Okay. So we saw Scream 6 this weekend. Just AJ and I.
Together.
Nick was on his way, but then he sprung a leak in that boat on the downstream.
I went to see Chicago on Broadway. I thought that was what we were talking about this week. I saw that instead.
Yeah, sorry. So just starting off box office numbers, Thursday night preview pulled in 5.7 million, which is a franchise best. Friday, another 20 million. Saturday was another 15 million. So basically a $45 million opening weekend.
What's
for
our
these
budget
guys.
for this movie?
35 million, which I believe is up 10 million from the last one, right?
Looking it up.
And then right before I fell asleep before and right before I went down for my nap. I saw that it's actually, I think, closer to 70 million now. So this is what happens when you bring a franchise back, but you give it to fans and people who understand what makes the material work.
Exactly.
I hear they're handing over Scream to Kathleen Kennedy after this.
Turns out she's a big Ghostface fan.
Scream 5 had a budget of $24 million.
Okay, and I believe on its opening weekend it made that back like just immediately, and then overall I think it did 140, which is an incredible return on investment
For a slasher. Yeah, good for them.
Well, you know, truthfully, that's the thing. Is like, what other slasher franchises are going on right now?
None. It's barren. Like that's why
They have a
Scream, we'll get
strangle-
into this with the spoilers.
Yeah, they
That's
have.
why Scream works.
What about Pearl? Does she not count?
Not a franchise. Well, actually, I can't even say not a
It is
franchise.
now.
Don't answer that with sincerity because he didn't ask it.
I brought it up because AJ, you were here for Pearl, right? The last time
yeah,
you
I
were on the
covered
show.
Pearl with Pat,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, AJ, I'm gonna throw it off to you first. Non-spoiler.
Sure.
Go ahead and give me your general thoughts.
I loved it. Loved it a lot. I had minorly high expectations.
I love
because
Lamp.
loved Part 5 so much.
Yeah.
But this was good. It's in the spirit of what you want with Scream.
Yes.
And the reason why I feel like this works over, say, which ignoring all the legality of Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween even, this works because of what you're getting with the Scream, the whole tongue-in-cheek, the meta. It works perfectly today. So it's exactly, the box office number speaks for itself. Not a perfect movie. Not gonna pretend like it is. There's more than a few things that were pretty
There are
bad.
a couple things that when I was watching the movie, I was like, I love what I'm watching, but it makes no sense.
Yeah.
We'll
definitely
but
get
once
to that,
again,
but all in all, loved it.
yes. So my whole thing is that non-spoiler, I think the kills in this one are so brutal. Like even worse than the Dewey double knife kill in the fifth one, the last one.
I think the one with the homeboy from 13 Reasons Why or whatever on Netflix that got stabbed in the neck. It was like a real slow push in his neck. Like
which one?
That was probably the most brutal in Scream 5. Homeboy that the whole bit was like
I
he
know.
was closing a door and there was nothing behind him.
Yeah. I know
His
exactly.
death was so like out of the like tone of all the other kills.
His
They're
mom
like,
was the
"Let's
cop
lean
in
into
4,
that
right?
tone."
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, let's make a whole movie where that's the low tone of the kills in the sequel.
I feel like the writing and the characters in this one are especially strong. Like way stronger than the last one, and probably the strongest in the series since the first one, I think. Like
Mhm.
you like to see that in your franchise movies where they actually give a shit about, putting together a good movie. And this goes back to they gave it to the guys who were fans of Scream. Like they wanted to make Scream movies cuz Samara Weaving has a nice cameo performance in the beginning and she's the first kill of the movie, I guess.
It's the Scream kill, It's,
Yeah.
You go into Scream knowing that it's like
Yup.
Bring It On. Remember,
it's
every movie starts the same way.
Yeah, no, it's the first one. It's the one that kicks it off, and I was like, oh shit, they got her. And then I remember she starred in Ready or Not, which was their first big major outing. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
Performances across the board are way better than 5. Jenna Ortega's role was beefed up to main player in this one as opposed to just being a supporting character in the last one.
Yeah. She wasn't in a hospital bed the whole movie.
Yeah, and she's great. Melissa Barrera, I know there's a rolling of the R in there for sure.
Let's hear you try it.
Barrera.
Give it one more.
Okay, now I'm just
Get
anyway.
your inner hip hop in. You can
Yeah.
do it.
All right, AJ,
Okay.
I want to hear you say it.
What was her first name again?
Melissa.
Melissa Barrera.
Yeah,
Ooh,
see, bro,
okay,
he
there you
lives
go.
close to the border, though. All
Yeah,
right, what
that-
am I supposed
There
to
you
do?
go.
That's why I wanted to show off.
Okay.
Osmosis
You know?
picked me up.
I did not think that she was very good in the last one, but in this one, she stepped up her game. I thought she was
Yeah.
excellent in this one. I liked this one way more than the 5th one up until the last 30 minutes.
Yeah.
The
which
last
we'll talk about when
30
we get to the
minutes.
spoilers.
The what I can
Yeah.
say for that is the last 30 minutes are absolutely incredible. Like as far as like the execution of it all, the brutality of it, the actual action that's taking place on screen, and then, but the concepts, the premise
For me,
was
it's the
awful.
reveal. The reveal is terrible. I think. I think the reveal.
Yeah, I didn't love the reveal in this one. And most Scream movies, actually, all of them, the reveal is usually the best part. Like it's
That's
usually
the reason you're watching it. It's
Yeah.
who done it.
So the meta humor and the themes I feel like are present in this one, but they're pulled back. You know what I mean? They're not as in your face as like 5. And I feel like that's what held 5 back. Like I remember I saw 5 with somebody who had never seen a Scream movie up until that point. And even he was like, what the fuck is going on? You know what I mean? And it made it less accessible for general audiences. Because I feel like that's what makes Scream so special is that if you're in on the joke, it's an enhanced experience, where if you're just watching it for a slasher, murder mystery, whodunit, it still works on that level too.
Yeah,
And
I mean, that's what Wes Craven's whole vision was with the first Scream. He's like, like slasher movies, because of the 80s, slasher movies are super formulaic, and we're all yelling the same thing. And it was the first time, like with the budget, that they went and just made fun of it to a degree. It was still a horror movie, but like, what if these characters behaved as if they were in a horror movie? And here we are, 30 years later, and we're still,
And they still haven't learned.
Scream.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's because like, what's the current meta with horror movies? And they talked about that with Scream 5, bringing up the whole like, what's that term of Jenna Ortega's character called? Like the whole elevated horror.
Elevated
of, like,
horror.
The Babadook and
But also
and Get Out and stuff.
Legacy sequels,
Exactly.
toxic fan bases. They heavily reference The
I
Last
don't
Jedi.
know what
in
you're
that
talking
movie.
about with toxic fan bases.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
Doesn't connect.
Yeah.
As
at
I'm
all.
talking about The Last Jedi.
So yeah, I think that's why Scream is always going to have a place in horrors, because there's always something to say about the current state of
But
horror,
some of
which
the
this movie did well.
some of the things that they talk about in this one that's very topical is misinformation and how it spreads on the
Yeah.
internet, conspiracy theories. Like I said though, I feel like the meta part of this is pulled back. Like I feel like the most that they did was like the franchise, where they talk about how they're in a franchise now, you know what I mean, as opposed to just being in like a requel, right? That's what it is, a sequel to the reboot, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but I don't know what else they did out. Like I can't figure it out, and you're better at picking up on this shit than me. So
It was you nailed it though when they said it was more subtle than that. They didn't have to be like do the thing where like, and this is the part where the killer knocks down the door. Instead, they just like, as we're watching it, we're all doing our, and this is not spoiling, this is general horror movie stuff, where you're like, okay, the killer is here. Who's not present in this scene right now? Like it's things that we do naturally watching a horror movie of whodunits, watching Knives Out and stuff. We're like, okay, this person was killed, so they're not the killer. Okay, this person was in this room with this person, so they're not the killer. Doing that type of thing done to like 11 where they play with that with you, where it's like even the characters themselves are like, where were you? I was over here. No, I don't trust you. You stand over there. We're stand over here. Like it's imagine
Yeah.
2 hours, because this is a longer one, 2 hours of people who have seen horror movies trying to figure out who the killer is.
Dude, I was doing that this entire, like, this is the first Scream movie that I was so invested in, like, well, I guess since the first one, that I'm sitting there this the entire time being like, yo, I have my money on, it has to be this person. It has to be the way they talk, everything they set up. There's this whole idea about legacy and what it means and, like, how you carry that legacy. And like, I mean, we'll get to it in spoilers, but I think you know who I was expecting to be the killer, because that was kind of the idea going in. And then when the reveal came, I feel like that the reveal, even though it wasn't who I was expecting, had it been more tied into the premise and the themes of the movie, I feel like I would have at least appreciated it more. Where as soon as it came, I was actually kind of disappointed. I was like, dude, fucking really? Like,
but that's the genius of this. And like what you mentioned with the subtlety of it is the second you think you figure it out, at least in my head, I'm like, okay, they think that I have figured it out by now. Can't be this person. And so then it's like you're always second guessing yourself with this. And so the second I'm like, okay, it is for sure this person. They do something dramatic to say it is not that person. That person is not the killer. And I think that's just, they nailed. This was the most fun experience I've had watching a horror movie in a long time, where I felt like I was the exact target audience of, they're like, you're probably expecting this thing to happen. No, not this time. Or you're going to get mad at this character because they're going to say something stupid. Miscommunication in horror movies is one of the most irritating tropes ever. And it's not a minor spoiler. It's a minor spoiler, but like there's a part where the character goes, hey, go away because you could be the killer. And the character goes, fair enough. And like backs off. Yeah. They've never done that in a horror movie ever. And so thank God they have finally done that.
That's the other thing too, is that I feel like those are good character moments too, because this movie sets up a conflict between the sisters in the beginning of the movie, and you see it play out, you know what I mean? And it comes into play during the final scene of the film. And I really appreciated that, because what other horror films like this have that type of character play? You know what I mean? Like, specifically, the Scream 5 is great. Don't get me wrong. And I really like the reveal, you know, because that was one of those things where I couldn't figure out who the killers were the entire time. Scream 6, I think, is exceptional all the way up until the last 30 minutes. And it's not even that it's bad filmmaking. It's just, it wasn't who I thought would be the logical choice. And like, I was talking to somebody about this the other day, and their whole thing is like, well, you're just mad that they got one over on you. It's like, no. I've seen every Scream movie where they get one over on me. It's just, they did not, I don't think they tied this one in as nicely.
I'll be honest, I nailed it. And I'll tell you the exact scene that I nailed it.
Not to shit on you and everything you know, but I nailed it, bro.
No, with this movie, and that's what made me dislike it, is like, oh, that's not as fun. Like, but I've been bamboozled by all the other Scream movies. This was the first one that I drained from the X amount of time in the beginning or at the top end of the movie. And I'm like, oh, that's disappointing that it was that this whole time. It was blatantly obvious and like kind of sloppy.
What'd you think of the action? Like, as far as like the kills and the action goes?
I loved it. This was
so good.
Most gory and vicious. They bragged about a new era of Ghostface, and they delivered on it with this one.
Yes, they did. Like, god damn.
Like, there are kills that happen where the kill is brutal enough, but then they add a little sprinkling of extra, specifically the girl who falls. Remember?
Oh yeah, that was
I'm like, they didn't have to go that hard, and I loved it.
Dude,
it was so brutal.
The bodega scene where he steals the shotgun from the guy and just executes him, and like, they don't show you what his face looks like, but they show you everything around that and like the splatter on the wall and everything. It's like, dude, holy fuck.
Well, just seeing like a John Wick scene with freaking Ghostface, we've never seen that in a franchise before.
I do love the consistency of throwing things at Ghostface or hitting him with shit. And I felt like this was the first time that he was an absolute animal the entire time. Like the last one was a callback to the old ones where it's like there's always something to throw at Ghostface. There's always something to hit him with it. You know what I mean?
Run and throw the bookshelf behind you.
Yeah. And logic dictates, and that was the joke, is that logic dictates if you hit someone with a baseball bat that's trying to kill you and they fall on the floor, you keep hitting them with the baseball bat, right? Where I felt like this time they actually built in like plausible deniability why they wouldn't just turn around, because most of the shit they hit him with, that motherfucker just kept coming in this one. Like, I think Gail like throws a table at him at one point. Like she tries to trip him up with a bookcase or something. And he's just like, just keeps coming, this motherfucker. Yeah. So I do like that they really did turn up, like they amped up the fucking, the brutality of it. And I did like the old switcheroo in the first kill, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, they, in a series built and integral with meta, they have still found a way to, as a horror fan, and as yourself too, like I live for this, I love this. They're still finding a way to make me laugh, make me kind of like cringe. I'm like, oh, that was brutal. They nailed it. Now again, there are some, speaking of that Courtney Cox scene, there's a number of moments in this movie where I'm like, ugh. But actually, the biggest thing that I got to say about this was I feel like this is the first time that I'm like, you know what? Forget the old cast. This new cast, 100% through and through.
Yeah,
like I don't care about Sydney anymore. Let's move on.
I got a question for you. I thought they settled with her. I thought they figured out something, and that Neve Campbell was coming back.
I didn't hear about.
Did you hear about
this?
I think we might have talked about this. She got an offer to come back for Scream 6, and she was like, "This is insulting." She's like, "I'm the main character of these movies, and her name being attached to these films is part of the reason why they made so much money, because you always get to see Sydney come back." And I thought they settled up with her though. I thought, like, truthfully, I remember reading that they had come to an agreement and she was going to be in 6. So the entire time I'm watching the movie, I'm like, when the fuck is Sydney showing up? You know what I mean?
That's got to be jolting.
Yeah. So like when she didn't, and that wasn't the disappointing part, because like truthfully, the movie didn't need Sydney in this.
That's
sense.
Honestly, if the Courtney Cox is, she was in the trailer, her involvement held it back for me. And it was weird and awkward. That was a negative for me. I think this series has grown past the original cast, which I'm not trying to crap on everything they've done and accomplished. They helped build the foundation of this, but it's outgrown them.
I mean,
this is a series that can't stand on its own with a new cast.
It was nice to see Gail. Don't get me wrong. Like, it's nice that it's nice that she's still a part of the franchise, and it was nice to see her actually get a really nice action scene where, you know what I mean? Like, it's nice to see the character growth in them too, where like she's like, I'm not fucking around. Like, I will shoot you right in the head. And she actually gives Ghostface a run for his money, because remember, she fucks him up at one point, and like he gets that cheap shot in.
I unfortunately feel, I agree it's cool to see her back, but it kind of felt like the kid who graduated high school but still kind of hung around the high school, where we've gotten rid of Sydney wasn't in the movie, and David Arquette wasn't in, David Arquette, right?
Yeah.
What's his name?
Yeah,
he wasn't in the movie.
Dewey's dead,
yeah, but just having her was like, it felt weird just having the one person. It needed to be her and Sydney for me, or neither, because now it felt like, oh, she's just hanging on because she just really wants to be a part of the series. I don't think they gave Gail enough. I don't like Gail as the character that much.
Well, that's
so I guess that's probably a big reason why.
What I loved about seeing Gail is like that character progression of how like she's sharper and she's got her wits about her, but she's still a piece of shit, in the sense that like, the whole like she writes another book and people are mad about the way that she writes about them because she does salacious things to sell books. And then the funny part is that I heard you couldn't even sell the movie rights to this one. You know what I mean?
No,
And even then they throw another meta joke in there about how, well, it's all true crime limited series now. You know what I mean? And it's like that, even that's a commentary on her character being like, you're the old horse at this point. You know what I mean? Like, you got to let the young stallions out sometimes.
Just a quick interruption. Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio won Best Animated Picture at the Oscars.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's happening tonight. Good for him. I'm glad,
It's the year of Pinocchio.
Just the good one. Just the one good one.
What did Disney one get nominated for?
Nothing.
Probably some Razzies.
Biggest piece of shit. All right. So, if you were to give this a letter grade, or no, what am I saying? A number grade. Actually, I finally figured out a system.
I've heard that from you
Let's
before.
go.
I figured it out. Okay, so 5, mediocre. 6 is okay. 7 is good. 7 to 8 is good. 8 to 9 is great. 9 to 10 is excellent, and 10 is phenomenal. And then anything under that is, you go right ahead. Abysmal. It's just varying degrees of shit. So if you were to give this, 1 out of 10, what would you give it? The last one we gave it. The last one we gave the last one a 10. I watched our last episode.
No, I did not give 5 out of 10. Did I?
I gave 5 out of 10. I thought you and I gave 5 out of 10.
In hindsight, okay, well, hindsight, I love it still. I still blindly love that. Or not blindly. I still like sing the praises of that movie. I would give it still part 5 like an 8.5. 8.5. This one I'm giving a part 9. I loved it a ton. There are specific things I really didn't like that if it would have nailed the reveal, as we talked about, it probably would be a 9.5.
We'll get into that, yeah.
But it knocked it down severely for me.
I would give this one probably like, see, because everything's much better than the last one until the ending comes, and I feel, and I don't want to trash it because the ending is like, it's like it leaves a sour taste in my mouth or anything like that. But I just feel like if you miss the reveal on a Scream movie, sometimes you throw the baby out with the bathwater, unintentionally.
Sure.
I'd have to give this one like a 7 out of 10, or
Wow.
what? Yeah, probably, because like it's the best 75 to 80% of a Scream movie I've seen, and then like I said, that ending, it's the execution of it is really well. The action's awesome. It kept me on the edge of my seat. I truthfully didn't know how. Like I was like, are these guys gonna get out of this? Because that was the whole thing. That's the rule that they established, that the main cast doesn't matter anymore. You know what I mean? They're also on the chopping block as well. But man, that reveal really soured my fucking taste for this movie. And maybe I'll warm up to it in a few years, but I have my reasons why. So you want to get into spoilers now, and we'll crack the reveal wide open? All right. I want to get started on this because here's what I think. Jesus Christ. So I think the reveal in this movie totally trashes all the themes that they set up for the hour and 40 minutes that came before it, because when they reveal who the killers are, it just turns into a revenge story as opposed to tying in with the themes of horror and legacy. And I'll be completely honest, I thought it was going to be Stu Macher the entire time.
They winked at you two about that too.
I
was
know,
hoping it would be Stu Macher
dude.
too. They literally,
the first kill in the movie, he's wearing the original mask, and he says, "Who gives a fuck about making the movie?" I was like, "That's okay. That's the tell. That's the tell right there." Like
they could be setting it up further when they looked at the TV in that room, and they were like, "That's the TV that killed Stu." And she was like, "If you're one of the people that believe he's dead."
Yeah, exactly. Because they never caught him, right? That's what they. That's the retcon. They never caught him.
Well, Matthew Lillard was at I think a con. And a fan, it's the annoying question I'm sure he's asked all the time. A fan recorded themselves asking him, "Are you going to be in Scream 6?" And he goes, "I would love to be." He's like, "They're shooting it right now, and I'm here signing autographs, if that tells you anything." So he's playful. I think they might be saving that bullet for him, like as like maybe part 7 or 8 or something.
Well, yeah, I hope
fans demand.
I'm hoping 7 is where they bring him back, because I've already heard that Paramount wants 7 shooting by October. So, and
they better lock in Jenna Ortega. That's my thing. They better
lock
in
Jenna Ortega's
contract.
She is fucking on fire right now. But the other thing is that if these were bad movies, you know what I mean, I don't think she'd stick around. But they're good movies, and fans like seeing her. They've accepted her into the Scream, she's
our
lore.
Scream queen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But man, dude, when they revealed, so like,
didn't she just get it's official now? She's doing Beetlejuice 2.
I don't know if it's official
I've
yet,
heard talk
but
her and Michael Keaton. I heard
it's I'm not sure if it's exactly official yet, but it's one of those things where they're going back and forth because she probably wants a lot you know what I mean?
Sure.
She should get.
They should throw a dump truck of money at her.
Back that shit up right to her house. Recap the reveal for us, because I'll mess something up. So go ahead and recap the reveal.
So the reveal is that there were the first time in Scream history we have 3 killers, not 2, not 1, but 3, and it is the father, son, brother, and sister of Richie, the killer, one of the killers in part 5, homeboy from The Boys.
Jack Quaid.
There you go. Yeah, Dennis Quaid's baby boy. So
I like
that
Jack
was
Quaid.
yeah, that was our reveal here, and that it was the dirty cop all along, and they did some fun things, admittedly, with it. You know, having the whole what's her name nailing the like your Ghostface to the other guy. I forgot his name. The brother.
Yeah.
I'm talking about. I can't remember.
Yeah. No. I know what you're saying.
But yeah, that's the big reveal, and then they get killed by our new characters here. That was it.
But that, dude, and like you know what I'm saying though, right? Like it feels like it's not about legacy characters anymore. It's not about misinformation, conspiracy theories anymore. It's all about, because remember the last one was like fan outrage and vitriol from like toxic fan bases.
That seems super topical, yeah.
Yeah, and the characters in the last one, while they're going after to kill the cast of the last movie, they're talking about those things the entire time. You know what I mean? How this was a disappointment, how I'm not going to be the disappointment. I'll make the best reboot of us. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Because that's the whole underlying theme, is psychos inspiring other psychos. You know what I mean? And how ridiculous of a concept that these people, like, what's her name even said, like, you're not afraid of being at a party anymore. And it's just like, I think about it like getting struck by lightning. It's not ever going to happen twice in the same place. And yeah, I just felt like this one was just, the reveal came. It's like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, this is what we're doing. Like, we're doing a shitty revenge tale. Like, we're avenging the guy. And like, listen, I get it. Number 2 was kind of
it's the exact same thing. It was, what's his face's mom,
Billy Loomis's mom. But the thing,
Billy Loomis, thank you. Yeah,
but that
Billy
was the
Loomis's
whole
mom.
thing with that movie, was like the whole the revenge arc of like the parent, or you know, like almost like Mrs. Voorhees or something like that. You know what I mean? Like that was the whole. They already did the revenge arc. You know what I mean?
Well, that's the only slight justification I can hear, is like that's in line with Scream. Is like you remade part 1. So now you're doing part 2, which is going to set up the rules, I'm sure, for part 7, where it's like, this is the new trilogy, whatever rules. So what happened in the 3rd stab? And then they're like, oh, that was that trash one where Silent Bob and whatever Jay were in.
That's their names.
Like,
Yeah, you got it right.
Yeah.
Jay and
But,
Silent
like,
Bob were in Scream.
I feel like that's what is it? I can't recall.
They were in Scream?
Oh, it's hard canon. The universes are intertwined.
I
because of
did not
Scream
know
3.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really kind of bad, actually. But the point is, though, I agree. I think it was disappointing, was the big thing. It just didn't match the themes of what was setting up for this. And I knew it was the dirty cop dad from the second he showed up at the therapist's house. I'm like, you literally, the scene before that was them what's her name's at the cop at the police station going like, where were you? She's like, I was at my therapist's. You can call him right now. He was the only person who knew she was at a therapist. The next scene is that therapist getting killed. I'm like, that seems sloppy that they would do that. So I immediately had my eyes on him. And then the second they were like, look at all of this like evidence and stuff. And I'm like, okay, dirty cop got all the evidence. Where it's like, that seems so like stupidly obvious as I was watching it.
Yeah, I'm not that smart. So I was like I said, I like to let the movie, you know, drag me along and like play into everything. But man, I could have sworn like and maybe that was the misdirect to make you think that it's Stu.
That's what I was hoping initially.
You know, like that, and like remember when the dad reveals he's the killer, and then the son takes off his mask, right? And he's like, "You're right, I did juke the lottery." I was like, okay, who's the third one? I was like, please tell me they're in bed with Stu. Please tell me they're in bed with Stu.
They were dragging that out.
I know.
Like,
I was
now
like,
take off your mask.
Yeah, exactly. And then and it's just like, oh, it's the roommate. And I was like, God damn it! Like, come
on.
on.
If it would have been Stu, then I would have been forgiven all of it, because then it would have been like he manipulated them. Still have it be, you know, Richie's dad and brother, but then have it be like him manipulating it and then tying it into the franchise and legacy. That would have been so perfect, because at that point I would have given up that it was Stu. I'm like, it's not going to be Stu. And then when they did it, it would have done a positive pop. What about the line? I forgot too. The line after he discovers his dead daughter, air quotes, and then he's like, he talks to the main character, because if you mess with my family, you die.
You
I'm
fucking
like,
die.
oh, so he's just, no one else is gonna acknowledge that?
Yeah, actually, now that you say it, that is also kind of the tell. You know what I mean? But that's kind of the thing with all the characters. They all say some really crazy shit. Like, you know, like they drop a line here and there. It's like, maybe it's him. Maybe it's him. I kind of had an inclination that maybe the friend, the brother, was in on it in the subway, because you remember the scene. Which, by the way, like A-class tension building in that scene with all the different ghost faces and everything in the subway.
All the cool horror nods and Easter eggs and stuff.
Oh,
dude.
I actually have a list of that.
Showed up.
I have a list of that stuff that we can go over.
Great.
So yeah, my whole issue with this movie is the ending of it, and that
I agree.
And I just couldn't believe that it was like, man, fucking, this is what we're doing. But I'm glad that it's not like, if they're doing. Listen, I know that they're doing a Scream 7 at this point. Like they've already made their money back. They've made the budget back on this movie. It's gonna do gangbusters because not only the fans like it, critics like it, general audiences seem to be accepting it as well. It's a fun night out at the movies. To go see a fun slasher if you're not into any of the meta commentary. Like I said, they dial that back. So this one I feel is more accessible to general audiences. I'm hoping for part 8. Or part 7 that it's Stu. Like, that's what I'm hoping for. And I will pretend that it's not the entire time and be shocked when they reveal him.
That's why I feel like this is specific. I feel like it's so hard to write a good Scream movie, because when you write the script, you're like, we have to write this with the knowledge that the audiences know that we're trying to make a Scream movie. So it can't just be direct. It has to be some kind of a twist, but they're expecting a twist. So how do we do it? It's like a Saw movie where you have to have some kind of extra layer overarching the whole story. So I hope Stu is involved. I would love for him to, like, everyone's like, oh, it's totally going to be freaking Stu. Even have, like, in real life, have Matthew Lillard on talk show stuff being like, oh, I don't know, maybe I'll be in the movie. And then have him be the first death or something in it. Have it be some kind of big thing. That's
not bad. I think, though, if they're doing the whole, like, mimicking the original trilogy with this new trilogy, they rhyme. Like, just like the Star Wars, right, Nick? They rhyme.
There you go. Yeah, it's all circular, man.
Yeah, it's all circular. That's right.
The ring cycle.
If they're going to do that, if they're mirroring the first trilogy with this new trilogy, the third one is one killer.
Yeah, the third one is one killer, and it was in the third movie. It was Sydney's brother,
Roman, whatever the fuck. Yeah,
whatever
her name
is.
is.
Scream 3 is awful. Let's not.
It's not
Scream
great.
3 is the worst one,
but it's definitely the worst one of the bunch. What do you think of the whole I'm the good serial killer thing that's going on, like, subtext? Yeah. Because, like, that's Sam's that's the thing that makes her character interesting, is that she's Billy Loomis's daughter, who was
apparently
one of
serial killerdom is hereditary.
Yeah, and, like, his ghost is constantly talking to her throughout the entire movie.
He's still getting fed. Good on him.
Yeah. He's still putting dinner on the table at his house. Okay, and I like the idea that she's not going to therapy because she's traumatized by the events of the first Scream. She's going to therapy because she's like, I stabbed Jack 22 times and then slit his throat, and I'm here because it felt good. Like, I enjoyed doing that. And I was like, all right, sick. I like where this is going.
Good for her going the right channels.
And then they never talk about it. Like, they do, like, kind of here and there with, like, remember, get a weapon, protect yourself, you know what you can do. And she's always the first one to be like, I'm fucking killing somebody. Like, I will be taking a life tonight. And then, she kind of kills the brother, right? Because Jenna Ortega stabs the brother in the mouth, and then they drop the TV on him, just like same way with the same TV that Stu died from. Mm-hmm. She shoots the sister in the head, and then, dude, she fucks up that cop, like, because he had a Kevlar vest on. So she just starts stabbing him in the fucking arms, like all up and down his arms and his sides and everything. And then he's like, What did she say? She said, "I'm no killer" or something
Yeah,
like
she's
that.
like, I'm not gonna blah blah blah. And then Jenna Ortega's like, hey, you should probably. He's like, yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
She freaking.
And
And that thing was like the eyeball or something. Like,
yeah,
right,
through
just
the eye
brutal.
right into the brain, and it was just and Jenna Ortega's character was like, nice. I was like,
I
yeah,
kind
but
of wanted Jenna Ortega's character to be like that. Nod was not. You
yeah,
misread the
exactly.
nod.
Yeah,
I'm proud of you, Nod.
like, oh fuck, you shouldn't have done that. Like that's what I was
That was
hoping
not
from
a
that.
good decision to not kill him. I did not mean like that would have been perfect for me. But yeah, I agree. I think I want Stu. We all want the fan base wants Stu back. Just bring him back.
Yeah,
Just
and I
do
don't want to
something.
be like one of these guys that's like, oh, just make the movie off of a Reddit checklist because that's what happened
Yeah.
with Rise of Skywalker.
Very
And we
true.
all see how that turned out. But I also think there was other extenuating circumstances that led to that. But my whole thing with this specifically is that Scream is now a franchise that is helmed by the fans for the fans. You know what I mean? It's
Mhm.
not, and it's such a popular IP, and we know that it's doing well, and because it's made well, that I don't think that they need to go to the well of fans. You know what I mean? But it's also propped up by the fans. You know what I mean? You get what I'm trying to say here? Like,
No, I totally get what you're saying, dude. And that's why Scream it's unique and it's something that I feel like will work well with everything is meta nowadays. Everything is always a wink and a nod, and that's why certain things are just nauseating and stuff to deal with because like nothing can just exist on its own anymore.
so.
This go
No,
ahead.
keep going. Actually, no, I don't want to cut you off.
No.
Go.
No, it's fine. It's like, but this series is able to because it's fans by fans. We know it's a direct line of like I've been watching Scream. The directors, I've been watching Scream movies since '96. These are the things I've always wanted to see in a Scream movie. Have not gotten to see in a Scream movie, and plus because they're still they're younger guys. They have their finger on the pulse of current horror and not just horror, like regular normal cinema nowadays.
Yeah, I mean,
then bringing up the whole legacy sequel things.
Yeah, I mean, we saw them take a crack at what was good horror at the time when Ready or Not came out. Like that took
Exactly.
everybody off. Like, no, Nick, you haven't. I think we've talked about this. You haven't
Is
seen
that
Ready or Not?
Anya Taylor-Joy?
No, it's Samara Weaving.
Okay.
She's a note.
God bless her and her genes. Her dad, freaking, I didn't know her dad was Hugo Weaving.
Oh, I didn't know that
no
either.
shit.
I thought it was a coincidence, and yeah, that's his freaking daughter.
Oh well, I can see why she's so good. You should absolutely check out
I
Ready
will
or
check
Not.
it out. That's the
It's
one where
great.
they're in the big mansion.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Check it out.
And so anything where we're talking, none of this it piques your interest at all. Like I feel like.
I mean, yeah, but I have a lot of homework to do before I watch it.
Oh
so.
no, I mean yeah, I mean my whole thing is like start at the first one. Like if you watch the
Yeah.
first one and you like, which I still think the first one holds up as not only a meta commentary on slasher films at the time, but even just a good whodunit murder mystery. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like because I watched that movie for years as a kid, not knowing that it's this commentary on what's going on. And I also am of the belief that, and I catch a lot of shit for this. I don't think the Scream movies are that meta. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I think that they have lots of commentary on, and they do a good job of like comedically commentating on the tropes of films. But the whole idea of like they know that they're in a horror movie, I just don't buy.
That's actually a good point.
The whole point of what's his face in the first one, Randy's character, he's the point of view for the horror film. He's a horror film obsessed guy who works at a video store who's friends with the guys who are killing people. So they're taking all of their cues from him. You know what I mean? He's the one who's like, guys, we're living in a horror movie right now. It's not like the characters are self-aware that they're in a movie, like Deadpool. You know what I mean? So
Yes,
that's why
that's very true.
So that's why I say, like, I had this one friend who he was always bitching him. He was like, Scream's so meta. Scream is just the most meta. I was like, it really isn't. I feel like that's just, it has enough of it to where you can point to it and say, look at the meta commentary on our, but it's really not that the characters are aware that they are in the medium
The
of
text
a film.
is meta.
Yeah.
The characters are not.
Exactly.
That's super well
and
put.
that's why it's man, if somebody who's never seen these, that's actually very well put. And I feel like that's what makes these movies so special, is because it is commentating on these things, but the characters and the stories are written to be so sincere and actually three-dimensional and well thought out. That doesn't always come through in the execution of the movie because you know how things change in the edit. But overall, I still think this is if you liked 5, you're going to like this one.
What if you
for
like
sure.
pina coladas and getting caught in the rain?
I don't know the lyric after that, so I can't follow that up with. But yeah, I don't see why you wouldn't like Scream. You know what I mean? It's a rainy day. You got pina coladas.
Crossover. By the way, Hugo Weaving is Samara Weaving's uncle. I wanted to make sure I got that right. It's her uncle, not her papa. But regardless,
Papa.
Yeah, but no, I think you nailed it though. I think the term back in the day before we started using meta for everything was tongue in cheek, which is what those Scream movies are, where you have the most meta the movies ever really get are the rule breakdown scenes.
Yeah.
When Jamie Kennedy's like, if this is a horror movie, there are 3 rules, and honestly, a lot of the rules tend to suck. Let's be real. Like one of the most egregious was I think Scream 4, where one of the rules is like if you're gay, you can be killed or something like that. They're like, if you're some kind of weird thing like about that, you could be killed. I'm like, or when was that ever established in any horror movie ever? It's one of the few times like it was like a dumb rule.
Well, that was when Wes Craven was still. That was when
was
Wes
an
Craven.
Old man, which bless him, but he's an old man out of touch.
Did Kevin Williamson write this one, or is it just Radio Silence that's doing the writing and directing?
Could not tell you
because I know Kevin Williamson. He executive produced this film.
He's produced all of them.
Yes, but specifically he used to write. Okay, so he did write. Oh no, he didn't write Scream 6, but he's credited as a writer because it's based on characters that he created. Yeah, it's one of those weird things. It's like based on a screenplay by J.K. Rowling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, before we move on here, I do actually have a question for you. What did you think of Kirby's return?
I liked it. I loved Kirby in Scream 4, and the fans when they did little Easter egg in Scream 5 that she was alive because as far as we were concerned she died. The fan Reddit blew up with that, so I love that they included her. I like that they made her a cop because it's a little cliche at this point. I don't know why. I don't know.
We
if I
need
can
some propaganda in these movies. Yeah.
It's like okay, she's a survivor. She's tough. Where it's like that's always been the thing, or it's becoming the thing now. But I liked it. I am happy that they did not make her the killer because when they did make her the killer for a second, I was like, oh, okay, this.
Yeah, I was like, once again, fucking lame, somehow worse. And that was also one of those things where they try to throw you off the scent, but there was no evidence built up beforehand. You know what I mean? Where like just recently I saw Sweeney Todd on Broadway. And when you know the ending of that show, all of the writing is elevated because there's a bunch of drops and tells throughout the entire thing.
You're looking at certain characters
exactly when you're looking at it through a different light, and it kind of elevates the storytelling. Where I felt like specifically for that moment, I was like, there was nothing to indicate this beforehand. You know what I mean? There was nothing to, because they would have had to gone through several levels of checks and like, you know what I mean? Like speaking with her home office and everything, So,
and that's another reason I got suspicious. I'm like, who's the one guy that has this information? Like the one guy who said the warning. I'm like, I don't trust this guy because I think he's the killer. And then,
damn, bro, if we're ever in a serial killer movie, I want to be with you because you seem to have your finger on who the fucking guy is. Because when we did Scream 5, you also knew who the killers were too.
Very late, but something else I liked about this too. Again, I feel like this movie it's outgrown its roots in a positive way. Like I love that they changed the setting. That we went to New York.
Oh, that was good too. Yeah, that was a fresh. It defines the certain characters because remember when they kick Cute Boy out. They said like, yeah, you can't come. You're not Woodsboro. Like I was like, oh shit. Okay, they're drawing a hard line in the sand here. Like, you're not a part of the core 4. Therefore, you cannot. Yeah. You cannot, dude. I love how they are absolutely spoofing the Justice League meme with that. They are 100% are. You remember a couple months ago we did an episode and we were talking about the DC buyout and everything, or the Warner Brothers buyout, and they said that one of the most unsubstantiated claims, and it became a meme on Twitter, was that James Gunn was going to be keeping the core 4, and it was Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman, and Aquaman, and the top like hit tweet on that was retweeted and just goes, who the fuck is the core 4? And in this movie they make it a big point to reference that multiple times because they call the 4 characters the core 4, but they also talk about how ridiculous of a statement that is and how stupid it is to say something like that out loud unsubstantiated, because eventually that all those characters end up they don't suffer a grim fate, but dude, that one guy, Chad.
I want this to become the new bit now, where he's just like, okay, he got shot in the face.
He's Kenny,
dead, right?
He's the Kenny,
and then he
of
gets
the
wheeled
Scream
out into
movies.
the ambulance at the end of the movie. He's alive?
Yeah.
Dude, he got his head cut off. Like, I got a question for you guys. The movie takes place in New York, and as guys who live up near that area, how did you feel about the representation of New York City?
People get murdered in New York every day.
Just on a subway
Don't
train.
you watch
and everyone's
Fox
like,
News?
Yeah,
People are getting murdered all the time,
like,
every day.
Just it's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your children are? Like, that's, yeah, I mean, it's nice. It's nice because, like, we've been talking about this recently about how, like, the housing market's fucked up and where would we want to move to and everything. And really, honestly, the thing is, like, I don't want to move out of this area because, as far as I'm concerned, the center of capital and culture is literally 45 minutes, not closer than that. I think it only takes us 40 minutes to get into the city now on a good day. Is right across the bridge. You know what I mean? Like, we have TV, film, theater, we have finance, other stuff, and it's all right there. Not only, like, you can just go into the city, see a show, get dinner, hang out. There's all these beautiful sights to be seen, and they highlight a lot of that in the movie. They go to Washington Square Park at one scene, right? And I also believe they shot in a couple places that are right outside of NYU. You know what I mean? Like, because they needed that college vibe. Because that's, the whole thing is because, like, the whole connection between I have something like that at the Easter eggs. The whole connection between Jenna Ortega's character and the stuff in 2 with Sarah Michelle Gellar. So, I mean, it's not, and it just dawned on me that it's like, oh yeah, they, like, this is like, regardless of the fact that it smells like shit, it's nasty and grimy in some places, and, like, it's an absolute hellscape to travel on a bad day if you take a car in there. It's still beautiful, and that's what gives it its charm, and that's why it's desirable to be there, and why people vacation. They're like, yeah, we're going to Manhattan for a week. I'm like, what are you doing?
I don't understand. You know,
like, I mean, even yesterday, you were just there yesterday. Like, the city has a certain charm to it. It's undeniable.
Yeah, like you said, it's nice to be able to just catch the train, go up and see a Broadway show. It's, I can't speak to how it was presented in the movie. Didn't see it, but
it looks like
sure it was great.
It looks like New York. It looks like the Village, honestly, in some places. So I do have some. I have a list of Easter eggs here. If you want me, I'll just rifle through them real quick. If that's what you're into. So Scream 6 immediately takes on the same vibe as Jason Takes Manhattan. It's also playing on the television.
Yes, it is.
I can't remember what scene, but I know it. In the apartment in the beginning. Yeah, that was the opening. Yeah. Also, there's 100 Easter eggs. Last podcast on the left has a poster in there. Ice Nine Kills has a flyer in there. It's all horror related stuff. It's good stuff. There is a scene where there's a character at a Halloween party dressed up as Wednesday that interacts with Jenna Ortega. Obviously, that's a nod to her star-turning role in that show. Jenna Ortega's character is rushing the same fraternity that Sarah Michelle Gellar's character was in the first Scream, the second Scream that she gets murdered in. Remember that she gets thrown off the balcony?
Yeah.
They're eating Jiffy Pop in the apartment when they first are hanging out.
That's good.
Let's see. Gail gets punched in the face again, of course, outside of the police station. The legacy character deaths in movie franchises, the whole requel monologue about legacy characters dying. Specifically with Luke Skywalker, there was that lady from Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
She's not one of those people. Sorry,
she's
guys.
She's not. She isn't. She's not. But that's what they're spoofing in that. And truthfully, I think they were going to kill Gail off until the very last minute. You know what I mean?
I think that was the level of, like, too expected, where everyone's like, she's going to die in this. That's the rules for legacy movies. And that's why that's, I think, the only reason she is alive is because we thought she was going to die. Obviously,
the Ghostface mass of killers past. That's the whole thing with this movie is, like, they're building up, like, legacy and everything. And every time there's a kill of a major character, the killers leave a mask of a previous killer from the old movies. So it's like they're counting down from 6 all the way to the original 2. And that's why you're thinking the entire time, well, it's got to be Stu, because he's like, I'm the original, you know?
I thought for a second that the dad was Stu's dad in this movie, to be clear. I thought that was because remember, it's the famous bit of like, my parents are going to be so mad. I thought it'd be his parents, and that's the bit.
Dude,
I thought that'd be freaking great. But
I crack up so hard at the line, you have no reason to hit me with the phone. Kirby and Gale's tension from Scream 4 all extends all the way into this one. It was good to see that they did not drop that pretext. Dewey's theme music gets played at one point when they're when they're looking at his memorabilia, you know, because that was cool, dude. That would be sick to see, like that shrine that they built to all the Ghostface, all the people who have been attacked or murdered by Ghostface, all their memorabilia, all their all the knives. Like, remember Sam takes Billy's knife and he's like, good choice, you know, when she goes to defend herself.
I love that though. That was hype.
Right here, the Ghostface shrine. So the Ghostface robes from the past 9 killers, the outfits that the past Ghostface killers died in, the outfits of various victims, dead and alive, the crime scene photos, drawings of past victims, the TV that caused, quote, Stu's death in Scream, the rope swing that Casey was tied to, which I couldn't believe that. I was like, damn, how'd they even get that? The garage door that killed Tatum, Kenny's cameras, set pieces from the Greek play in Scream 2, the fax machine from Scream 3, and the knife Charlie used to stab Kirby in Scream 4, because remember, she also gets stabbed in the same spot with that knife later on.
Yeah.
Kirby and Mindy, they bond over horror movies, which I thought was a nice touch. Once again, there's that.
What was the conversation they had? They had
Psycho 2 is underrated. What was it? Candyman, the requel or the original? And they
like
said
both. I'm like, that was great.
Which I would agree with. I like both of those movies equally. I think they're both great. Randy's van death from Scream 2, they reference. Which also another tell is in that scene when they go to get in the car. Remember, he's like, you can't steal a cop car. Don't steal the cop. What are you doing? You know, and eventually they just take it. It's like, no, he would take them there if he wanted to stop it.
Exactly.
Gail's New York City address is the West 69th is the nod to the 1996 original release of the movie. All the horror Halloween costumes, which they have a list: Jason Voorhees, Michael Myers, Pinhead, Freddy Krueger, Pennywise, the Midsummer Girl, Grace from Ready or Not, which she's in the movie.
That's what, dude. I was like, this movie is about to like turn in on itself.
Yeah,
like, they had the actress and they had the costume for it. It was crazy.
Grady twins from The Shining, the Babadook, the Tethered from Us, the Girl from The Ring, Sam for Trick or Treat, the Wolf Mask from Creep, and Chucky from Child's Play they all make appearances. And
my personal favorite, there's a guy dressed up as Mojo Jojo.
Yes, I did see that. Yes,
who's the voice of that's Ghostface's voice. He voiced that guy.
Oh yeah.
Oh really?
Let me make sure I'm not full of crap. But yes, that's Ghostface.
It turns out it was the uncle of the guy.
It's the uncle of the guy. Yeah, goddamn, AJ, get it together now. So then, while you're looking that up, in true Scream fashion, the number one Easter egg in this movie is 100% the TV that, quote, killed Stu kills the final killer, or at least the brother. The first, he's the first one to go. So, like I said, a lot of Easter eggs to throw up right at top. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially
Roger Jackson is the voice of Mojo Jojo and Ghostface. So
he does such a good menacing performance. I wonder what AI they're gonna get to replace him with in the future, just like James Earl Jones. You know.
Man, I don't know. I hope he gets a paycheck for the rest of his life about that.
He should. He should.
And his afterlife.
And his children as well. All right. Well, I mean that. I don't have too much anything left to say. What about you, AJ? You got anything?
I mean, not really. Besides, it's great, and positive word of mouth is doing wonders for this movie. So I'm imagining it'll have a big fat weekend this weekend too.
Good. I hope.
And after this drops, there's gonna be a ton of people flooding the theater.
Yeah, right. They got the press any key. Good word of blessing. Let's go.
Good. That's what I'm saying. Is like, it's a great movie for Scream fans, and that's all they need to focus on right now. All right. So with that said, you want to hit the song there, big guy?
Oh, I'm glad you got this. I wasn't sure. Give me 1 second before, because I want to try to get AJ in this shot. So while I'm working on this, AJ, do you want to just tell us a bit, about like plug genre geeks or anything coming up, or just give me some time.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, Genre Geeks. We're a nerdy podcast, similar to Press Any Key in terms of we cover nerdy pop culture and we do occasional focus on specific things like movies. We just recorded an episode with Ryan covering Creed 3. That'll be dropping at the time of recording tomorrow. And we're going to be covering Scream 6 with Ryan again tomorrow. Because to be clear, I'll out myself. I was under the impression we were having Pat on our show.
I could go.
Scream.
I'll go. I think I got rehearsal tomorrow.
But I was so funny that when you cleared that up, I'm like, well, that's actually a breath of fresh air a little bit. That I just have to be the guest. I don't have to.
Yeah.
I don't have to host.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, we'll be covering that with him.
I listened to our episode that we did about Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah,
that was a good time. And then I tried to re-listen to the one about X, and you guys just smoked me the entire time. So I was like, you know what? I'm good on this.
That's Matt, dude. Matt's he's a sniper rifle, dude. Yeah, and hopefully we'll be getting back soon. Right now we're focusing on generally movies to get us back into the flow of recording, and then hopefully we'll be getting back to our normal main releases after that. So stay tuned. We're definitely get ready for John Wick 4. That's a big thing on our show that we're even going to get Darren on to cover that because John Wick is near and dear to the Genre Geek's heart.
Are you going to see 65?
I don't know. A part of me wants them like, oh, big dumb dinosaur, yay! But then like even the people that are also like, yay, big dumb dinosaur, like the movie's fine. I'm like, oh, really?
I saw a tweet that said, from now on we judge all dinosaur movies of is it better than Jurassic World Dominion, and surprisingly, this is.
All right, well, it's a low bar, but sure.
Yeah, definitely not a high bar to clear. You know what I mean?
I'll see that before I see Shazam 2.
Yo, what's the deal? Why is everybody shitting on Shazam 2?
Because I'm out of it. It didn't look good. I don't like Zachary Levi personally, but also it's like, is this movie gonna matter? In like
they said it's gonna
like
matter. Did you not watch the video that James Gunn put out?
Yeah, I watched part of it.
The first thing he says is that Shazam has existed in its own corner of the DC universe.
So it doesn't matter.
And then he said, so that is easy for us to fold into our future plans. So so those characters and those stories are still a part of what our 10-year plan is.
That's his nice way of saying, like, because it doesn't matter at all, we could make it matter.
Exactly.
Or not. I don't care. I don't like their take of Shazam. First off, it's a horrible version of Shazam.
Oh, damn.
I don't like them trying, like, having him floss was like that was the bullet that killed it for me. Where I'm
That's
like,
like in Black Panther with the "what are those" joke. I was like, I'm out.
Yeah, I'm like, stay out of that. Stay out of that lane.
Okay,
yeah, I'm just not excited for it.
I have AJ up, so if we want to jump into the clip,
you got to switch to.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry, I'm trying to multitask.
Yeah. It's okay.
You're doing a fantastic job, man. Good job.
Everybody give it up for Nick right now.
Oh,
it's
thank
just
you.
the two of us. Oh wow, there he is. He's in there.
There we go.
All right. I haven't seen this. Let's do it.
All right.
Oh. Whoa,
Did it just become Ghost Rider?
What the fuck? What happened? Oh shit!
Did it become Ghost Rider? Let's go. There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
I think he's pouring a beer on there.
Yeah, palm full of dirt.
Yo, I do love the initial approach to this where he just drives off into the sunset and you see a fireball erupt.
The walls just glow orange.
Yeah.
For those of you listening, a motorcycle goes down the street, and as soon as it passes out of view, the buildings are illuminated orange.
Oh, dude, look! You see the moment it get like right there,
like
yeah,
a frame.
right there. That's when he knew he was fucked. Oh
Spirit
man,
of Vengeance took him.
See, Spirit of Vengeance. See, that's the unfortunate part about this one. It's like this is not like my favorite clip of the weeks is like play stupid games, win stupid prizes. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Whereas this is not play stupid games. This is a couple of guys hanging out,
Just
like
having a good time.
Exactly. Just being part of the good. And like the funny part is too is that like I don't know. You can kind of see in the silhouette here, like okay, see it catches on fire, right? and he's still riding it. So he's clearly still riding a flaming chopper till it gets a certain point. Because watch the wall, look at the shadow. You see him get off, and then he's like, oh shit, oh shit. Yeah. So like he definitely had hope in his heart to be like, oh, no problem. Like this will go out soon. It won't be an issue.
I like how everybody rushes to help.
Good on them, right? Camaraderie.
Yeah. Who knows? I don't
None
even
of that.
like.
Hey, we probably shouldn't be standing next to the burning engine with gasoline and stuff. Instead, they're like, let's throw piles of dirt. That'll extinguish it.
Piles of dirt and a little sprinkle of beer.
Little brotherhood. Look at that.
Put some tussin on it. Be no problem. No problem at all.
We don't even know if these guys are friends with the guy on the motorcycle.
That's
they might
true.
have just been like, we're here to help.
Don't you want to be a good citizen?
Yeah.
What would you do? I'm like, well, I'd probably stand a little bit clear. I feel like if it's already popped that much, a bigger explosion's waiting.
Exactly.
I mean, it depends. If I had a fire extinguisher and this was one of my friends and it was their prized possession, I got you. If it's some
I'm
guy
grabbing my friend and yanking him away.
If it's some guy on the street that I don't know and they're just throwing piles of dirt, it's like, hey man, you just call the insurance company because it's over. Like this is what you have. What is that insurance called?
The General.
Yeah. It's the one. It's the insurance where if you fuck up your vehicle that's more than it's worth, they'll pay you out. I can't remember what it's called. But yeah, this is exactly one of those times that you should have that. So with that said, I think we're good. I think we got it in the bag, huh?
I think so.
All right. Thanks so much to everybody for checking out this episode of Press Any Key. Once again, you can find us on all social media at pressantykey.tv. Don't forget to check out our Discord. We'll keep the link for that in the description. Thank you very much to our guest for this week, AJ from Genre Geeks. Once again, AJ, if there's anything you want to plug, the floor is yours.
Do all the social media stuff to us too at Genre Geeks. Thank you very much for having me. And Pat, we're gonna have you on again very soon. Actually, got to let you pick. You have your pick, man. Send me a message of any movies and stuff coming out.
Yeah, we'll set something up for sure. It's got to be something that it's got to be. Yeah. It's got to be something that they don't want to see because I'll see it regardless. You know what I mean? So
fair game.
Sure. So yeah, with that said, we will see you. We'll see you next week for. We're doing a full spoilerific recap of the first season of The Last of Us.
Oh yeah.
All 9 episodes. Which, by the way,
right now.
Yeah. Right now. So we'll see you then. Bye-bye.